What's up, guys? Gonna start doing some arrow reviews. Come along. Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here with PodiumArcher.com. Starting down the road of looking at a bunch of different arrows and trying to give you a little bit of feedback into what we find. We're going to cover a whole bunch of different types in these series, but here's the first one. It's the GoldTip Airstrike. What we are going to check here, we are very strong advocates for 15% forward to center usage. And the average person is using a 70-pound bow with roughly a 28-inch arrow. First off, arrow length should probably be shorter than the front of your riser, and that's what we recommend, and we're going to make a video about how to tell how long your arrow should be, so pay attention to that. But the numbers we're going off of here are going to be based off a 28-inch arrow for 70-pound usage to get to roughly 15% F.O.C. to give you the numbers of what we're testing. And don't bother trying to write anything down, because it'll all be in the last 10-15 seconds of the video published for you, so you can pause it, write it all down to get the exact statistical numbers of what we're talking about. The Airstrike is a GoldTip product that is a 1000 straightness arrow. It's a 204 diameter, which we love. They are available in 400 spine, 340 spine, 300 spine, and 250 spine. And the GPIs are 7.2, 7.8, 8.5, and 9.6. They all come in a 32-inch length. And for the purposes of hitting our 15% F.O.C. number, we're only going to reference parts they make. Other parts will fit in a lot of different people's arrows, but we're only going off of what they provide to get to that percentage. So figured it might be smart. These are a sealed factory package. So let's take a look at what we find here. We're going to spin them and see how straight they look, and then weigh a dozen of them and see how consistent they are. Now, GoldTips have always been known for their durability. I haven't shot these from a durability standpoint, but they are always been known for being typically very durable. So this is a 1000th arrow, and that knock end is beautiful. And that front end moves just a tiny bit. That's probably really close to a thou. Yeah, it's pretty straight. Grab another one. That's glass. That's good. That spins awesome. Looking really good so far, guys. Now, mind you, all these, we're just going to grab a random unopened pack. So we might get a bad batch in one of these tests or whatnot, but so far these guys are winning heavily. Very, very, very straight. Oh, there's one on the front, little wobbly. Now, when you're doing this, I mean, if you don't care about how your arrow looks aesthetically when you're done, it might behoove you to figure out which end wobbles a little bit. Like if I was going to still use this arrow, I would probably mark this one and make sure I cut off the front. If my knock end was wobbling, I might cut off the back end. And I know it won't look the same as all the other arrows, but if the wobble's in the back end and you get it closer to the back or remove it altogether, you still might have a pretty straight arrow, because these things are 32 inches and you're going to cut 4 inches off of it. That one's pretty straight. That one's got a little wobble in it, but so far they're all in the front. None in the back have wobbled. Like the back is just as square as square could be. That one's good. So far I would say maybe 3 have a little bit of wobble, but pretty small amounts. You know, there's another one with a little wobble in the front, but they're all in the front. So if I had to guess, there's a good chance that when they're doing this, that one's perfect, that they're deliberately putting the wobbly end on the front, so you're cutting off of the wobbly end if there is anything wobbly. Now, 3 of those are probably more than a thou. They're probably more like 2 to 3, but that's still pretty darn good. So now that we've got them open and we've done that, let's weigh them, see how consistent they are arrow to arrow. So, and I'm just going to write it down so I can give you the max and the min. 284.4. That's 1. 284.3. Oh, 0.1, sorry. Spoke too soon. Make sure I'm not sitting on paper here. Come on. There you go. 284.3. So far, pretty dang consistent. 285. Had to say something, didn't I? 284.6. Oh, we're still touching. Yeah, we're still touching something. There you go. 284.0. 1.1, sorry. 284.6. 284.4. 284.7. 284.4. 284.1, 3.3. One more. 284.6. That's pretty darn consistent. My opinion, you should never see a variance more than a grain in a bundled set from a manufacturer that isn't like really cheap. So if you're spending, let's say $150 a dozen or more for your arrows, in my opinion, they shouldn't deviate past a grain. And this is an exact 0.9 GPI variant. So it's 284.1 to 285 was the high. So that's completely acceptable, in my opinion, for tolerance between the two. So that's good on you, GoldTip. Now, we did a calculator. For all our calculators, we're going to be using a Silent Night 3 fletch with no wrap. And if you actually sit there and work on a calculator and see how hard it is to get to 15% F.O.C, you will not use a heavy vein and you will not use a wrap, because a wrap will add a percent F.O.C in this equation, just the wrap. So now you got to put 25 grains more in the front to compensate for that. So what we came up with in this arrow, on a 300 spine, GoldTip makes an 80 grain stainless steel insert for those arrows. So we used that and a 100 grain tip for 180 grains in the total in the front, with 3 Silent Night 7 grain per inch vanes. That's a total of 21 grains in the back. Standard knock, no lighted knocks. Okay, and we ended up with 447 grains total weight on a 28-inch arrow with 300 spine, and it was right at 15% F.O.C. So that's what you got to do to get to 15% F.O.C on an Airstrike. So that was, once again, a 300 spine, 28-inch arrow, 7 grain per inch vanes, whatever kind you want, 3 fletch, 80 grain insert, 100 grain tip. You have 15% FOC. So this is our first video like this. We're going to make a whole bunch, make a whole series of these going through all the different arrows and what it takes to get to that number. Comment down below what you think we should do differently or what we should check. Now, granted, guys, we have to be patient here. We can't spend an hour and a half testing 1 dozen arrows just to give you a little bit of variance. So we're trying to do it as compressed as possible and trying to do the math for you so you at home don't have to be able to create what we would recommend. Head on over to podiumarcher.com. Maybe you're interested in these arrows. We do sell them there. They're $200 a dozen. So make sure to subscribe on the Instagram. Ask me questions. I do answer the Instagram, and I do read the comments below. And if it's one that I feel really needs to be answered, I'll try to answer it. But I have a lot, so sometimes that's kind of hard. But more than anything, guys, appreciate you following along. Keep checking us out. More interesting stuff to come. Thanks a lot.